focus. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yo.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I just threw it on. Was not feeling the red. I'm usually in.
Oh no, I've been on mute. I did the thing again. Well, I had a big old welcome back for you guys, and I plugged the newsletter. Newsletter just went out, herein.io. Check it out. And I am unmuted now. Can confirm.
Were you just talking to no one?
Yeah, I was talking to you guys. I mute myself for the intro because we're chatting, and I don't want it to interfere. And then it's like I forget to switch it back because I get all fired up.
You don't want everybody to hear our top secret plans.
Yeah, I mean, welcome back anyways, guys. It's Here Labs Delta 5 Wednesdays, my favorite day of the week. Yada, yada. I'll just go through all that again. Rob, what's with the red shirt? Good to see you, man.
What's going on? No, I just threw it on today. I was not feeling red. It should have been green. If green was sitting right on top, would have been green. Because it was pretty good. Dude, there's been a bid in the market.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. What other garbage is getting bid up in other places? Why wouldn't you bid for this shit?
Yeah.
No, it makes like total sense, and obviously like I would have wanted Bitcoin to go lower. My biggest takeaway from this is that the last couple of months, like I've been losing my mind because everything's just, you've got Bitcoin and then you've got beta to Bitcoin. As time went on, like that beta was degrading. It doesn't matter what the fuck you bought. If Bitcoin moved 5% up, so did Ethereum. Then Bitcoin moves 4% down, so did Ethereum, so did all these other altcoins. What we're seeing right now is incredible because you're seeing a decoupling, an evaporation of liquidity from the rest of the sector and flows straight into the king. Which is something we haven't seen for a while. So we're out of this kind of, oh my God, fuck me, this sucks, like part of the cycle to, okay, like now we can get on with the next phase. So I really do think Bitcoin bottom is fucking in. It just is. Okay.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah. Look, I was more bullish last episode. Okay. Like,
you were showing signs of reversal.
I'm very salty about that. Let me just be very clear. It was honestly like probably the easiest and fastest and best write up, that we've had in months. And here I am, sitting in the sidelines, just like, damn it. But the good news is that because Bitcoin's doing what it's doing, it's about to kick altcoins in the dig. It already is right now. I'm an altcoin guy. What that means for me is cheap fucking altcoins. What we saw basically after DeFi summer is about to happen again. And that is Bitcoin goes up and uptrends. All the liquidity is sucked out of the entire space and goes into Bitcoin. And bag holders are in agony with altcoins because not only are they watching the value of their investment go down, when Bitcoin goes up, they're up in USD, right? But every single fucking time Bitcoin goes down, these altcoins are going to go down more. And that is what's going to grind these motherfuckers to new lows. And we're going to get to buy this shit super.
God. So he's not, it's not that he's not a bear anymore. He's just now even more of a bear in like a specific sector. He's just blasting alt BTC pairs is what he's saying. He's
well, look, you captured the essence. Yeah, you just captured the essence of what I was writing in the newsletter today, which is that, Bitcoin dominance is going to rally. Like this is something I've been saying for weeks, the idea of the new liquidity cycle, that our best case is probably to get Bitcoin out of the gates, back into bullish structure, blasting off to new highs, alts get wrecked, liquidity, and then it's just disperse it back into alts from the lows like someday. Like I think that's the best case.
I do too. The worst case I'm seeing, anything's fucking possible, and maybe this was just some total bullshit engineered liquidity, blah, blah, blah. whether it was or whether it wasn't, like we had a massive fucking impulse to the upside. Sellers were absolutely exhausted. You know, maybe these guys find new coins, you know, somehow they always manage to do so. But I do think 32 is a very strong candidate for a potential bottom. And the good news about Bitcoin bottoming, though, putting in that higher low, that means that we are all about to get filthy ass, hilariously rich again. And
He's
it's gonna
back. There it is.
incredible.
Dude, it reminds me, I tweeted the other day that coach. I'm a Chicago guy, Chicago Bears fan, the coach of the Arizona Cardinals, who was like, the Bears are who that we thought they were. I mean, Bitcoin is what we thought it was. This thing is going so much higher. You can't even imagine. I mean, it really is going to down the line. So those dips are painful. I mean, it gets guys like you to flip hard, and then come back but it made you feel like you easily could have been buying 24,000s, 20,000s, and maybe a freak wick. You never know at that point. But
it was a slam dunk. Yeah, those mid-20s.
Here's the thing, and this is what I think. Like, you know, I think we've got a fucking BART incoming. Like, the big boys need liquidity to put on their size. And, you know, if you think the liquidity is engineered on the way up, all of the liquidations are 32, 33 on the way down. Like,
yeah,
like, couldn't they use that to, you know, fill their fucking bills, you know, and get size?
Look,
who wants to go after that right now? That's like fucking play. That's gonna get bought up. Okay, so we go liquidate some 32s and 33s, and it, like, I don't know. Let's see what's cracking above 40. Let's get into the 40s, see if you can make a run at 50.
There's just not that much above anymore, though. Like,
in which way though?
Just in the way of liquidations, you know.
I mean, well, look, I'll tell you what. There's I haven't looked at the funding. I don't have that super futures look at I don't trade futures a lot, so I can't say that there's no liquidations above. But I will tell you this: the trade right now, all things aside, is to short the range highs, and we're seeing that. In fact, I'm actually in a scalp short against the range highs after writing a bullish newsletter. I can't, it's the weekly. It's not called the 5 minute. However, that's more of like
blow your ass out right here.
I hope so, man. Like, I actually laughed. I saw my liquidation because it's it's FTX, it's cross. The liquidation's like $289,000. I was like, you know what? Bulls need to do their part. Put your shorts on here, and just tease those bulls and ask them to come liquidate you at $289,000. I don't mind. Come on up. I mean, my stop loss is like $100 above. But point is, I'm not so sure that there's nobody to liquidate above, because even though it's gone further than we thought perhaps last week, it's like, straight to 40K, 3 tags. We're going to take a look at the charts here, but there is a lot of buy volume pushing in. There's also this masterful options whale that scooped up a ton of calls late last week, I think on the Friday, right as I left town, of course. So I wasn't looking at that.
Some more.
And then he scooped up more last night, and then some more buy volume came in. So there is a lot of momentum here, and I want to think about it in realistic terms. This was not like, we're in a bull and then we had a dip and we'll squeeze up and then it'll go. Like, we had a 3-month reaccumulation sort of pullback. That everything points to that. Everything points to, and we talked about it last week, the smart money, the bigger wallets loading up as the newer wallets sell at a loss. I mean, that's what the on-chain showed us. It appears that that's played out. So now you're looking at $40,000 Bitcoin. And like you're saying, 35, 36, you want 32, 33. It's a big risk, I think, to come out of that kind of accumulation range with that kind of momentum and volume. RSI on the dailies, 7-month breakout. And what, you're going to risk what upside you might grab on trying to, squeeze it down for a few thousand? I'm not banking on it. And that's why I've been such a, let's accumulate in the low range lows, because I don't want to sit in this position and be like, oh man, where am I going to buy back? Not 40. Oh, not 40, not 45. And then it's like 50. And I'm like, I got to buy everything. And then you get shorted. So
the only reason I'm banking on it is because, there's a massive gap in liquidity down there. I do think we're going to fill it. I think it's going to be a wick. I think whatever does fill it closes above middle of the range. and it's just game on from there. You know, if this is something that happens though, it's no
Yes,
longer.
you'll
Like,
be
don't
feeling-
even fucking think about shorting Bitcoin. Like, it's over.
Dude,
Let's go look at your Kingfisher thing while you're
You'll
talking
be
here.
feeling so bearish when it's trading 35, 34. You'll flip to full bear mode. We're gonna blast this. This support isn't gonna last, and like you'll be pounding.
So for me, it's all about higher highs and higher lows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we put in relative to the last high a significantly higher high this time on significant volume. If we put in that higher low this time, then it's game on. You know, maybe that higher low isn't 33, maybe it's 36, maybe it's 37. It doesn't matter what that higher low is. You know, when that higher low is made, like it's over. It's game on. Or
Yeah,
maybe
and that's what I'm looking at, right? I really want that higher low. Obviously, you know, even through like accumulating, like, you know, yeah, I was been the bull on the stream and all that, but I mean, I didn't get Omega long through this. I bought some on the reclaim. I bought some on 32. I foamed it into a last bit at 34 because of that daily RSI. Wouldn't say FOMO was part of the plan, but I just like saw it on the weekend. I was like, there's the RSI breaking out. Like, but you know, on Sunday when this happened, I was driving home from like a fam jam. So my lady was driving, so I got to look at it, but I wasn't like, I mean, God, if you saw this starting to creep in, like there was like a scalp long for the ages right there. So I was a little salty, you know, you never get it perfect, but obviously I would love to buy here. I'd love to, you know, now I'm like, oh yeah, if we go to 36, I'm loading up. We go to 35, I'm loading up. 33, let's go. Yeah. But that's the whole world right now. And it's that classic case of like, ooh, I'm a bear. Okay, we're back to bull. I'll wait for the dip. And it's like, do you get that? Do you get to have a dip now like that? And I don't mean you, like the masses, the psychology of the market. Yes, I think we could.
We got to turn up Messi's mic. We're getting smoke signals from the chat.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
I hear you. Same as always. I did crank you up a little extra after they said that earlier. Let me just give you a little more juice.
As much as everyone's trying to read his sexy, luscious lips.
Oh yeah.
Let me see if I can give you a little extra juice there. Wait. Oh, you know. Okay. How's he doing now?
Well,
testing. I mean, can you guys hear me or not?
Yeah, you're a little light today, but I think it's acceptable. I don't think it's going to be a showstopper.
No.
So,
but we don't. You know, it is annoying when you listen to stuff and you gotta like strain to hear one guy and everyone else is like loud. But we'll see if I can balance that out for you guys. We're gonna actually turn down the bears today. No, I did crank you up a little bit, so you should be more balanced now.
So RT, can you on the left side, you know, of your trading view, if you go all the way down, for me, it's default to a rocket emoji. For icons, do you see that?
Yeah.
So right above that, if you click that, you've got some options: long position, short position, right? Forecast, all that kind of stuff. Do you have the fixed range volume profile?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my dog is going crazy.
Oh.
Hold on, I've got to yell.
Dog says, "How about now? Can you hear me now, bitch?"
Oh, Daniel, you might not be using your headset mic. You might have a.
No, I've got a dedicated microphone. My headset doesn't have a microphone.
Ah, gotcha. All right.
Okay. So here's the volume profile, you know, for this leg up, you know, and you can see at the top that we are outside of the value area. You know, there is weak activity here, and there's some liquidity gaps in that volume profile that I think will be addressed before we move up. You know, you guys have heard the repairman meme. I think the repairman comes in, you know, it's standard market cycle. Right now is totally, if it's bullish, this is disbelief, right?
Yeah.
We have to go down, and we have to have everybody saying Bitcoin is still in a bear market to continue going up. We have to continue to collect those shorts. If we just continue to go up, of course, Bitcoin can just do that, you know, because it has before. Maybe that's what we're looking at right here. But right now, you still got this bearish sentiment, overarching bearish sentiment that needs to be overcome. I think we go down, you know, we repair those volume gaps, and then it's just send rapidly. You know, one of my biggest regrets from the end of 2020 after DeFi summer was Bitcoin started going, it started doing its thing, and I didn't rotate. I stayed in my DeFi, I stayed in my altcoin bags. And so not only did I watch myself get wrecked for a couple of months, I watched the people that did rotate into Bitcoin celebrating on Twitter, which, to be honest, was like the worst experience ever. So this time, you know, and I knew better too. I knew that when Big Daddy Bitcoin steps up, that it's over for everything else. So this time, in my humble opinion, you know, I really do think it's important here for us to be focusing on Bitcoin, watching Bitcoin. If the bottom is in, if Bitcoin goes, it doesn't matter how good your altcoin bag is. It doesn't matter if it's Aave, Synthetics, the best altcoin bag in the world. It is going to get smoked. And here's why. You know, right now, most altcoins have been in a range against Bitcoin. If we break those ranges to the downside and we start downtrends versus Bitcoin, then when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins are just going to go up a little bit. But when Bitcoin, every single pullback, they're just going to grind down a little bit fucking lower.
Yeah.
Eventually, that's going to really reach some kind of equilibrium, you know, and we can go up from there. But I do think people are forgetting just how smoked altcoins can get when Bitcoin doesn't stay.
It depends on what you're in. I agree with you. And it's like your altcoins, to me, they've got special optionality because of the different liquidity structure. Like there's plenty of altcoins that they're getting some dedicated buy order flow, and they're going up meaningfully in a day, and they're outperforming. You're seeing some certain little names outperform and catch a bid.
If you look at most of these charts versus Bitcoin, you know, like I was pointing out a couple days ago, Sushi is one of the better looking charts. It doesn't look so good anymore today. You know, it still looks better than most, but you know, I do think the move here, and this is something that I fucked up in the past too, you know, that I'm trying to do better this time. Considering that altcoins are just leverage on Bitcoin, right? Considering that, you know, if Bitcoin is not performing, these altcoins are going to be going down. The idea here in this crypto market is, and this is a forgotten art, everybody switched to charting versus dollars. And I think that fucked everybody up. It certainly fucked me up because in the past you charted versus Bitcoin and your goal was to get more Bitcoin, right? Now it's to get more dollars. That has the greatest mind share. You're in Bitcoin if Bitcoin is in an uptrend. And then when these things, you know, when people start getting more confident, when the greed starts coming back, you start getting into these alts versus Bitcoin when you can see that people are a little bit more willing to put that risk on. And those altcoins act as leverage to amplify that Bitcoin position, you know, through the end of the run. You know, euphoria, everybody's rich, you're like, let's go.
You know who's got a really good chart for that? And I don't have it. I don't even know the indicator, but BTC Jack Sparrow on Twitter, he posted something last week. And this guy, I mean, where rotation goes within a trend and, well, also calling tops and bottoms, for what it's worth, he's a god. If you don't follow him already, check him out. He's been quiet lately because he's waiting for the next trend. But one chart he showed the other day, and it basically shades the chart either red or green vertically in big chunks. And he's basically like, when it's in this red, I'll trade or focus on versus Bitcoin pairs or whatever, protecting my sats. And when it's in the green, it's the other, or vice versa. Yeah. And that, you know, have a system, have a plan, because, and that's sort of what I do when I watch all this, you know, Bitcoin dominance. We've been tracking it over the last year pretty closely and fairly well, I might add, you know, catching these breakdowns, saying, okay, it's going to be time to rotate out of your Bitcoin because dominance is crashing. Obviously, I didn't think it would go this far, this fast, but we were in altcoins. We're looking long on altcoins. And as soon as this reversed here, this was June 21st weekly close. And that's like, okay, bullish confirmation of reversal on a weekly. And that kind of confirmation takes months to play out usually. We saw it here, you know, this breakdown, this was like a 4 or 5 month drop or whatever it was, 3 or 4 months. And so the idea is now it's like there will be outliers. I'm with you, Rob. You know, Luna's doing great right now. There's going to be some nice USD gains in pairs, especially if Bitcoin's in an uptrend.
Yeah.
But I remember it in 2017, and I was new, and this is a bit of the story, you know, again, talking about it in the newsletter today, the idea that, you know, you're sitting there, you're in your altcoins, we're in a bull market, and you're not getting richer. You're seeing your Bitcoin balance, you know, maybe you had 2 Bitcoin, now it's 1.6, now it's 1.3. And everyone's, you know, the Bitcoin maxis will heat up, all right? They've been really quiet in that euphoria sense through this. This was just like, haha, those idiot maxis aren't getting all the gains we're getting.
They did get Bitcoin as digital real estate trending today.
I saw that. I saw Udi do that. And everyone gets a retweet.
Udi is like
Udi,
the destroyer of worlds. Like he had the ETH BTC death party. You know, that was obviously the Pico bottom for ETH BTC.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
He's gotten this shit trending. Like, you know, I always get. And those are signs of euphoria always, you know, in retrospect, like, for instance, when everybody was putting the Pit Viper sunglasses on their avatars, you know, like, that's euphoria. When the Bitcoin guys were all switching to laser eyes, that's a sign of euphoria. When the community
the silly behaviors.
Confident enough to come together and do something silly like that, it's always a sign that bulls are getting euphoric because they're comfortable enough to just not worry about anything and just fuck around and have a little bit of fun for once.
Let's talk about higher lows, because ETH BTC broke out of this Livermore cylinder, which made us very euphoric on the stream as we saw that coming, and then it, you know, of course, higher and further than anyone thinks, 4,200, whatever it was, and same thing. And this is the inverse to that Bitcoin dominance, right? You've got your M top. Okay, maybe it's this, that. Well, we confirmed it. And this was actually really weak. After confirmation, I'd like to look for this as like a retest. It didn't even get there. And now it's kind of breaking back down. So if we want to talk higher lows, because I do think, 2-year accumulation bottom, ETH BTC, I do think we're going to head much higher. But we can put in a higher low, like anywhere down into here, which if you notice on the weekly is where the 50 and the 200 are actually just crossing bullish. For what it's worth, I don't particularly look at those MAs on this time frame, but we could trade into this, and it would look totally fucking normal if you look back and say, oh yeah, it's a bull. So I get uncomfortable when I look at that, and then I look here at Bitcoin dominance. That could very easily come up and do whatever it needs to do into the end of the year, trend down.
On there. I think that's a really nice level. Hey, just really quick, guys. I'm messing with my microphone. It's got a volume knob on it, and it doesn't tell me which way is up and which way is down. So am I louder now, or am I louder now?
You didn't actually change it off.
But then the microphone knob, the volume knob's bullshit. Then it doesn't.
I think you got a sneaky mic on your computer that is picking you up, and you might have to
Everyone's still complaining about. Somebody said now, so there's no difference. I guess should I just yell? I mean,
but
I feel
it's
like
weird.
I'm yelling at you and Rob.
Because some guys said that you sounded fine. I think they're just trolling us. They're just fucking with us.
The second one was louder. Oh my god, I hate you guys. Honestly,
they might be. Rob, how's your mic doing? You're definitely on the normal mic because you're kind of.
I think I'm all right.
Yeah, you have been, and then you were getting fadey there. Oh god, guys, it's a full moon. That's what we're gonna blame it on.
We're saying it's better. Okay, talking about full moon and astrology and shit.
How about
Marin Altman? Okay, who?
So sick.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but in January, she said 2 dates you need to be aware of, and the first date she posted was the top, the exact top on Bitcoin. The second date she posted was the exact bottom on Bitcoin. What the fuck is up with that? What am I learning? Order flow and options and TA and why am I learning all this shit? Why don't I just be an astrologer or whatever?
Well, you're not a witch. I mean,
maybe I
not
should.
That a witch is
How do you
bad.
know?
There are good witches I've learned through TV shows and series. Witches doesn't mean you're bad, but she clearly is some sort of witch.
I'm looking for the tweet here. I want to pull it up. She deserves a proper shout out. It's just cool, right? I mean, she said in January, like you said, Bitcoin May 16th, July 25th. Take fucking note. And that's I don't know exactly. It's like a Jupiter Saturn cross or something. It's not. She's not the only one that studies this stuff, but the way she just put it out there, bam, and then
spot on.
And then it's just spot on. There's a lot of guys at TRI that love this shit. It's a Gann thing, this idea, Gann in the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s. Look them up. Actually, right now we should plug this. Wyckoff interviews W.D. Gann. Google that interview. It's like a 5-minute read. It's fascinating. It's the reason I got kind of interested again. I stopped getting interested because I saw how fucking complicated it is. But this guy, he took his like those crazy GAN fans and all this shit, and then he would have like planetary alignments. And just to summarize like that article, I mean, he would punt out things like the price of soy will hit, $8 and 1/12 of a cent and not a 1/12 of a cent higher on this date. And if it's a 1/12 of a cent higher, I'm wrong, and this whole system is shit. And it would go and hit that fucking level. And I mean, he wasn't like a big name where you're like, he's moving price. Like, he was a nobody. And he would just do that. And he was, I think it was in Texas or Tennessee, and he was getting kicked out of town like, you're a fucking witch. So she's picked up, I'm not saying she's like a GAN trader, but it is pretty fascinating. It's not,
I mean, obviously,
it's cool as fuck.
I don't know if I believe in that or it's just that enough people believe in it that it's, self-fulfilling or what, but that's very, very,
it's,
very
it is that chicken and egg, and it is crazy. And I think when it works perfectly, it's very easy to write it off and say, well, there's enough people trading it that pinged. Or is there something more? Or, as humans, can we just explore the idea that there's probably 98% of reality we don't fucking understand, and there's some crazy shit going on. I like to live in that camp, but
awfully specific.
Really cool.
Something really, really interesting, RT, if you go back to your chart and you add a moon phases indicator to the Bitcoin chart. Somebody showed me that chart last week, and I was astonished at what I saw. I mean, it's truly astonishing. You're about to see. It's like, why am I doing anything else? Like, this is really, like, it tells you exactly when to sell and exactly.
Oh, cool. See, and then it's not, it's
Look
like
at
zoom
this
in.
shit. What the fuck?
It pivots, right? And it is catching. They're loose. Like, if you zoom into that and try to trade that, like, good luck. It'll be tough to take any size. But yeah, if you want to go spot long, spot short on that, like, when's the next one? The next one looks like it might happen when we interact with this 200 moving average, that's cool. But why not swing? Like, look, here's what I would say. And this is what I want to do now, because I just...
Can we overlay this chart with the Axie Infinity chart?
Yeah. But real quick, like,
we'll see what
I might do is, like, fuck it, take one bit of your Bitcoin and just, like, short long it with this and have that as like a side little trade plan. See if that, and then see in a year how that goes, because that looks cool as fuck. Axie Infinity.
Yeah. We see what's gonna happen.
Let's get the log chart up here. Bing, bing, bing. Like, it is flowing with it. I mean, this would obviously reflect a little bit of that same Bitcoin flow, but I mean, like, here you sell, goes up for a few days. You don't buy back until way up here. But, like, I think for more liquid, larger assets, any of this kind of weird shit like GAN, vibrational signatures, those 50-50 rules that I've been talking about, that kind of stuff I think is best reserved for Bitcoin in my very limited experience with it. And I'll give you the example here, like on this line chart. That's, whoop, whoop. Okay, let's get these moons out of here. Very cool, though. This is what I think, this is so in line with GAN, in line with, like, treating markets as an extension of reality that follow the rules of physics. That, and his thinking was that humans are an extension of physics, right? The way our atoms interact, the decisions we make, it's all just a process or a function of rules that are physics and blah, blah, blah. And so markets should reflect that. And he tapped into that. And so, for what it's worth, this vibrational signature for this move up points to something around September 7th, getting up into this kind of 46, 47 area.
So why don't you put out a tweet, and then everyone will be calling you a witch?
I have, bro. Come on. Look, I'm going to go proof of tweet, because I did tweet this out. I had a sick thread going. We'll go profile. Yeah. I had a sick thread going last summer on our account when I was just starting out the Hxro Labs account. And it was this trade. I just went through these the other day out of curiosity. I was like, how did these all age? But check this out. This atom chart is... So this was a trend. This was a thread that I put out on Twitter last summer. And this was July 2020, before DeFi summer. Shit was bearish. Shit was not that exciting. The thread on Twitter actually went all the way back to here. And it wasn't until it broke out I said, man, I should put this on a trading view idea. But right, like all the way down here, and I was just sitting there like, yeah, gain 50-50, let's go see. Well, look what it did. Came right in and smacked that circle on the nose. So, I mean, and I didn't even trade it that well, but like point is, yeah, man, I fuck with these sometimes, but they're not always right.
Witch.
I mean, they're
He's
a
a
little
witch.
crazy.
Burn the witch.
And
You guys were feeling so great. You smacked again, and then literally the thing rugs the next 12 days in a row down.
Yeah. Well, that's more the chaos thing. I mean, we've seen that chaos PRZ just like bing and then just drops like Ren last year. But look I did it for ETH BTC again. It did hit the level very nicely, by the way. This was the GAN vibrational signature. So you want to take back half the move. Half the time was a little ambitious, but it did smack that level. And that's really was our local top. So, I love to play with this stuff. I actually like analysis more than trading. It's fun. You get to paint shit. If you're wrong, you don't lose money. Like, it's fun. But can you trade that? I mean, that was a long hold, but it came into the level. So,
yeah, John. The next thing we're gonna do on our stream is totally examine the entrails of a goat. See what we can find. Look for hidden clues. Maybe eat a little bit of them. Who knows?
Yeah, Steve Jobs says, looks like ETH BTC won't ever make a new high. And you know what? I don't even think, like, I'm kind of with you. Maybe it won't, but that doesn't mean it can't go to 10K. And that's the idea of, like, do they just move together? Does ETH take over one part of the world and Bitcoin takes over the other? I don't think that's out of the question.
It'll make a new high.
It's a different feed. It's going to get...
It'll make a new high. Come on. Come on.
I think it will.
I mean, look, it did this during like ICO absolute bonanza mania insanity, and that's when Bitcoin was whatever price it was, much lower. So to outpace, if you think Bitcoin is going to lead, which I think some people do, I'm one of them, and it's going a few 100K, maybe 1 million, whatever. ETH's got a lot of work if it wants to ratio that shit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we formed a 2-year accumulation bottom on ETH BTC. We just had this big impulse to the upside. Like, of course, we're going to retrace a little bit. King Bitcoin's going to come in and do its thing. But guys, Ethereum is going to fucking rip versus BTC. We have the IP 1559. We have transition to proof of stake. We have layer 2 scaling solutions on Ethereum. Like, fundamentals only matter in a bull market, and if the bull market is resuming, after Ethereum gets bled out, after the liquidity goes to Bitcoin and people start getting greedy, best fucking believe these guys are going to jump back into Ethereum.
Okay, devil's advocate.
Absolute shit out of it.
Devil's advocate, because I'm with you. I mean, I own some ETH. It's not my dominant port holding, but I'd love to get in on it. I love ETH season. But devil's advocate, how many smart contract platforms were operational when this made this high? There was not a whole lot of market share, right? You have your ETH, you have your ICOs, everything was built in ETH. There was nothing else. Now you're going to have Bitcoin, we go into this new bull market, whatever we're going to get into maybe, and how many other smart contract platforms are sharing that dominance? How, is ETH still going to rise in that same, there's a question there, right? Like,
I think
come
so.
on, Cardano.
I think so. Cardano's still
No, I'm teasing. Solana, though, like other ones.
As soon as Cardano releases anything, that it's over.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I tease. Cardano was a joke, but like, Solana, like whatever other ones, Binance Smart Chain. There might be some market share now where ETH BTC isn't just as, maybe it doesn't get as extreme. I don't know.
Are they going to burn the shit out of ETH or not? Like, is it going to be more deflationary?
That's a big question.
If DeFi activity is high, then it will be extremely deflationary.
Then it is going to fucking moon against Bitcoin. And
if you're bullish on DeFi, you've got to be bullish on Ethereum.
How do you, dude? You have to be. It's the value, the whole network value. I believe. Like, Bitcoin maxis and supporters shouldn't feel like losers if and when it does happen, because ETH is doing. There's so much more value that's kind of able to be locked there, and that network, it's apples and oranges. I think a little bit.
Yeah. And Mitch makes a good point here. He says, NFTs are anchored around ETH. ETH gets locked up literally everywhere it goes. And I'm with that. I'm not sitting here being the bear on it. I'm just devil's advocate. I would like to see it dip more because that's what my analysis says, and that's what I'll be ready for. Maybe we get into this nitty gritty into the 4s everyone starts calling, Bitcoin maxis to the moon, all this stuff, and then we can form a little bottom and reverse. But yeah, I think if it's going to get anywhere close to deflationary, even if it just goes 50% less inflationary, that's still massive. I have some DeFi guys in my circle that are like, it's not going to be deflationary. It's still going to have inflation. So I don't know. I'm not the math guy. Some say yes, some say no. I don't know.
They're burning that shit.
It will be
like
it will
a lot
be deflationary as long as DeFi activity is high, and I would imagine it will be. Now, you made the point earlier that, the first time Ethereum ran, there wasn't really any competition here. There's not other smart contract platforms, et cetera, et cetera. I think we need to remember here that the only reason that these other smart contract platforms were able to thrive was because Ethereum couldn't serve its function, and that was a casino for degenerates, right? We have layer 2 scaling on Ethereum now, and as this layer 2 ecosystem gets built out, Ethereum has far greater scalability than even things like Binance Smart Chain had, which was a huge place that a lot of the liquidity got sucked into. And it is just, it's really interesting to think about, what could happen if apes were allowed to do that at scale, especially with the increasing regulatory pressure on centralized exchanges. We've seen Binance change its withdrawal limit recently. We've seen multiple exchanges lowering the leverage. If anything, this makes me extremely bullish on DeFi and extremely bullish on these DeFi altcoins, because these DeFi altcoins are just leverage. That's what they are. And that's how you have to view them. It's going to get to a point where if people want to do the thing where they used to in the past, hey, I'm just going to lever the fuck up on Bitcoin. I'm going to ride this wave. And there still is going to be plenty of that. You still can do 10, 20x. That's huge leverage. You shouldn't even be able to do that. But at the same time,
if you can't make it with 20x, get the fuck out. That's all I'm going to say. You don't need it.
I mean, we were in this crazy up-only environment, where things were barely dipping at all. That first leg of the Bitcoin bull, it really created an environment where if you're just a super high leverage degen ape, I know some guys that made 8 figures just longing their longs on the way up. You look at guys like Alex Weiss, made 9 figures, lost a lot of it, but what do you think he was doing? The whole way up, he was just getting more and more and more leverage, just adding and adding. And God, that dude made more money than God.
Did you read his thread? His kind of I felt for the guy, man, and that was real talk.
Martingale is great until you take an L. And then it can be very painful. So, I mean, if you're martingaling and you got 5, 6 wins in a row, you kind of need to step back and say, okay, maybe I can still martingale, but I'm only going to do it with 10% of my balance now. And I'm going to see, fuck, if I just turn $100,000 into $10 million, why don't I say, now I've got $10 million bucks, I'm going to take $1 million now and try to turn it into $10 million again. Yeah. And that way, if you get,
stash
the fuck out, if you're wrong, then you draw down 10%, and you don't ruin that martingale. I mean, martingale is everything in a bull in crypto. In other words, it's what we do, RT. It's that rotation game. Get a 3x here, roll it here. Get a 2x here.
I'm actually setting something up like that. I mean, I put it on Twitter yesterday. I put a 10K futures account in just because I'm kind of tired of trying to flip entire stacks or really trade. I don't want to, and I think this is maybe the essence of what Alex's post was, which was basically hey guys, I became a fucking superstar. I made 8 figures, 9 figures. It was ridiculous. And then he just he took a few L's and he didn't even really feel it. He's like, oh, I just lost $25 million and I'm going to go again. And then he's sitting there, and this is what happens, right? And it happened to me last year. You have your balance, then balance go up, and then you start flipping, and you might lose a trade where you're when the dust settles, you're how the fuck was I risking what maybe 2 years ago I worked fucking 8 months to earn in a day, in a snap, right? In one wick. And so I have, and it does affect you, right? Because then you're a little fucked up and you start to doubt yourself, and then you get a little uncomfortable. And so part of it, you have to reacclimatize yourself to the new portfolio. And a lot of times that means taking money out and spending it here and investing it there and putting it in places until your thing you're trading with is back to being a smaller drop in a larger bucket. And I'm fucking with that, not on his scale, obviously, but I'm putting a little futures account together so that I can martingale it and do a little apey stuff. And if I lose, it's it's like a drop in the bucket.
Dude,
It's not so
Bitcoin
bad.
is going to do what it always does, which is we're going to 200K. Like, I don't know if it's this year or next.
348 actually.
348
this cycle.
If Bitcoin goes to 350K, right, and you're martingaling on the way up, and it's this, extremely like high liquidity environment where dips are just getting gobbled the fuck up, volatility is low. Like, if you're doing that shit, you're gonna make fucking bank. The key here is knowing when to walk away. I mean, we're truly looking at, I think, some once in a lifetime opportunities. And for me, the absurd in terms of targets for Bitcoin, DeFi, whatever, guys, it's a perfect storm right now with the macro environment. We've got this new COVID wave. I've really got a gut feeling that we're going to have lockdowns again. Like, the media has just been getting this mind share little by little. First let's talk about the Delta variant, and then it's CDC recommends wearing masks inside, and then it's we're going to recommend that we're going to shut down gyms and this and that. I know more stimulus is coming regardless, of whether lockdowns happen or not. It just has to. And we're like, you look at traditional equities markets and stuff, like, we could be in the biggest bubble in human history right now, and I think we could be entering the euphoria phase of that everything bubble. If there's a time for crypto to go absolutely fucking batshit crazy, I think the stars are aligned.
Yeah, look at the S&P since we were born.
Fucking ridiculous.
It was born back here, and it's like, well, it's a bit of a bubbly looking thing. Like, don't try to short it.
Look, I know that only goes up, but we trade parabolic markets for a living. We know what happens after that, and maybe it just truly is different. And, you don't understand stonks; they do only go up, and this is why. But if I saw a shitcoin chart that looked like that, I would be, holy shit! When this is over, this is going to be brutal, like absolutely brutal.
You got to understand, like, our economy, our overall GDP, everything about what's going on in U.S. dollar terms is growing. Right.
The bubble's got more room to expand, dude. I could see S&P at fucking 10K.
In dollar terms, it doesn't fucking matter. But that's why Bitcoin's going to moon so hard. I can't even contain myself. I think the experiment of this monetary policy, it's not they're not going to be able to unwind it. I don't believe it. It's literally just, it doesn't mean fiat's going to fail. It doesn't mean that
Rob, when does the Ponzi stop?
It doesn't have to, and it's more, dude. There's fiat sovereign currency. Like, each country, each central bank, their job is to keep as orderly of markets as possible, and they're going to do that by providing liquidity. Now, in terms of their currency or fiat currency in general, it can debase significantly against a hard asset like Bitcoin, or even like real estate. In dollar terms, those things can explode more than we know. But it doesn't mean the world's going to come to an end if they keep printing more money and everyone, it's a coordinated central bank effort. The
trend that bothers me is the rich get richer, poor get poor trend, and that is one that I don't think any of their measures are going to offset, and it is accelerating. And there is going to be, in my opinion, socially, there has to be a breaking point where, X number of pain and Y number of people, and it's just we're going to fucking tear you down. And it already happens in certain countries and in some places, and it's a matter of time till it
I think that
perpetuates.
Happens, but it just means that more capital, more stimulus is going to flow directly to the middle and lower class. It's we're going to go helicopter money. It's like
the best case is that's the end game of that, right? I mean, if 6 billion or 7 billion people could just tackle 8 motherfuckers and be like, give us your assets, the world would be, but that's socialism. So don't shoot the messenger. But I'm just saying that.
Why does the Fed? Why do they have to print money for the overnight lending to hedge funds and liquidity providers? If you're going to print a certain amount of that and put that in, flood the market with that, flood the market with money for people to go use. I think that's what the stimulus. That's why we pump on this shit. This COVID stimulus of paying everybody $500 for kid, $1,300 a person. I mean, it's like
it's a lot. Yeah, I was messing with the math, right? And they're like, okay, we're gonna give everyone $500, which, let's be honest, is not much. It's not gonna get you anywhere. It's not gonna change your life. It's not gonna pivot any of that shit. And that still costs some hundreds of billions and whatever dollars. Like it's it's a steep thing. Like, let's go 10 trillion to buy back bonds, and then let's go 10 trillion for the people. But I don't know if you can pivot it with a cash handout. But I'm sure some people would be like, "Shut up, RT! Give me my $2,000 check." But what do you think of this M2 money supply? Like, that's this. Now this blew up on our trading view last year. There was a lot of economists coming in saying, that's not inflation, blah blah. So I digress. I'm not an economist, but if you divide the SPX, the S&P by the M2 money supply, this is what the chart looks like, as opposed to something like this. And that's what are your thoughts on that?
A lot of people are shitting on any charts that are denominated in M2 and kind of saying that that's not like a apples and apples.
It's not a perfect.
I mean, it tagged that level.
It's trippy though, right? Yeah.
Crash highs, and then we had another crash. Like, I don't think you could just totally discount it. And maybe it is like,
it's cool as
say, well, it just happened. Like, but it's enough to make me say, maybe there's something to this.
Well, that's three. Yeah, no,
so relative, and the way I interpret it, as it was shared with me, is like sort of the relative value. And it's this idea that it's all parlor tricks. It's like, hey, let's print money, let's stimulate. But really, and then it's like, oh, S&P's making new highs. But is there more value? And this would suggest that, in fact, we actually came up to that 2008 crash, 2020, and then it was like, it's just freaky that we had a COVID crash that happened to align with that level, and it was COVID, or what was it? And now we're breaking out of it.
Dude, I think we make a fucking mad dash to the 2000 crash level. I mean, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
This year, like the craziest fucking bubble, and
well, it should accelerate.
Why not?
Like this should accelerate. This doesn't look, we just basic market fun, dynamics like this. It's not gonna be like, oh, let's just slow down or move sideways. Like, this should.
How much would that level? How much higher is that level though? Like, how epic would that pump be in SPX over M2? Because that level, it's the clear target. Like, there's no reason
on this chart. Once you break out of this, I mean, from this view, it's all bets are off till 29. So
I've got a really, really good GAN fan on SP or S&P.
Yeah, drop it in Discord. I can
there's
put it on.
Two levels of interest. Hold on, I've got a bunch of VWAPs and shit on it. Let me clean this up really quick, and I'll drop it.
See what I'll do a little chaos target. Maybe that's going to be juicy here. I don't know. Maybe we already hit it.
Give me the juice, RT. I'm about that juice.
I feel like it's not even going to go. Oh, like we're coming up to it. So that would actually make a lot of sense then, from the perspective of like the 2008 crash. That whole consolidation. Let's get the S&P up to 4,800, and then we're going to expect chaos, according to this.
What's it at right now? 43 something?
44. So, I mean, that's a 400-point move with no particular timeline.
10%. That's like a fucking mouse fart.
Yeah, well, me charting the S&P, like, you're in trouble. This thing's been in a rising wedge showing bearish divergence for 25 years. Like, I can't chart this thing for the life of me using anything I can do in crypto, but people do. I find it boring. I don't know. Like, I was on with some guys today that trade stocks, just kind of listening in. And they're like, oh, the S&P's open. And, like, trading this, they do it, futures, whatever. They probably just trade other proxies. But, like, I don't know. It looks fucking boring as shit. Call me crazy. I was born in the bull of crypto, but this just.
I'll tell you what.
Poopy.
You know what I feel really good about? And, I think this is where Messi should be, like, literally licking his chops. I know he's waiting for better levels, but, assuming Bitcoin has bottomed and assuming we already know all this shit's going a lot higher, there are some alts that, like, their all-time highs are 3 and 4x from here. And these are names that caught waves of serious money flow.
Yeah, like, dude, this is shit that could go an additional 5x after.
I know. I'm fucking tripping over here.
No, I am, Ron, dude. You have no idea. Like, and look, I know I'm like, I sound really excited, but I just look. I feel like like an NBA All-Star, and like, you know, I finally like get to the championship, and like this is my like shot to get a ring, and I just like I've been training for the last 10 years for this, and I just like feel it in my bones, you know, that like this is my moment. Like,
I know.
I'm fucking stoked. I'm like stoked as fuck. I mean, barring some kind of like global meltdown right the fuck now, which, you know, I don't believe is something that's going to happen. You know, then again, you know, every time somebody, you know, we start believing it's not going to happen, it does.
The beautiful thing, they're there for us, buddy. They're going to be there. Like the central banks, they're not. There's global meltdown met with liquidity like you wouldn't believe. I mean, like Ron Jeremy style, just liquidity.
And can you imagine though, being a guy with $1 million, and you know, maybe at the end of this year, maybe at the end of next year, you're like, damn, I've got $20 million. Like, what the fuck? Like, how did this happen?
But Dan, I was like, value locked in DeFi. You know, in July of 2019, it was $500 million. So in 2 years, now it made a high of 90 billion. Today it sits at 67 billion, right? In 2 years, value locked in DeFi has 150x'd, and it's literally like a bunch of early nerds who are in there, like no real
regulation, nothing.
No real, like there's not even. I mean, to think about the multiples of capital out there that are stuck in giant piles of just turd, there's going to be a lot more of this capital flowing. Like,
now, I want to point out a key difference between some moon boys you will find on Twitter or YouTube that will sit here and talk about things to the moon, and what Rob is saying and who he's, you know, who, like, and I'm just interpreting this for you, Rob. So if I misspeak, let me know. Yeah. You've been around markets. You've traded corn, soy, options, all this stuff. And so you're looking at this, not saying like, yeah, this will go to the moon, as much, you probably are, but as much as just being like, maybe it's your favorite bet you've ever made. The most asymmetric, where you're just like, the potential of this thing is so absurd that you don't even care if it ended up somehow being wrong. You're like, it's a bet I'm taking every single time.
Dude, DeFi is, in my opinion, just like early phase tech bubble. Like that like .com bubble made some of the guys right now in the world that are like the global elite. It made them. I think that this DeFi bubble could do the same fucking thing. Like,
for some people,
make some people this next wave of, you know, tech billionaires and, you know, this and that. Like, look, you know, eventually, like, you know, it's musical chairs. You know, eventually the music stops, but the potential energy of this is just, I've never seen anything like it ever. And in opposition to ICO mania, you know, the issue is that locked up a lot of Ethereum, but guess what? You know, that Ethereum had to get sold back to the market at some point. And that was a big thing. Oh, you know, the Ethereum can't go up now because it keeps going down. And now this ICO has fucking 50,000 Ethereum, you know, it still needs to offload. And then this ICO has 100,000, it still needs to offload. Lockup in DeFi is just there. It's just locked up, you know, and it's it's just a liquidity black hole. You know, it's just sucking everything in and just absorbing all this shit. And eventually it just hits critical mass and it just goes fucking nuts. There's a huge supply side shock and it just goes bad shit. Like Uniswap at the absolute top, and Uniswap is in talks with Robinhood right now. Okay, Robinhood, that big for some of this crypto shit. And Uniswap at its all-time high was $10 billion valuation. When we're looking at something like Dogecoin, which was what, like $80 billion valuation? And what's Uniswap right now? Let me check this out.
For what? For valuation or like on the chart?
I'm looking it up. So Uni, it's currently number 11, so it's very close to making it into the top 10. Fully diluted is 20. Okay, well hold on. What was the top?
Let's check out Uni historical.
The top on Uni was about a $20 billion valuation. My bad. So, let's imagine, we return to all-time high at some point. And then let's imagine after that Uniswap becomes a $100 billion cap project. We're talking about an extremely liquid thing that you can get a fucking 10x on. And maybe 100 billion is not the ceiling.
I mean, we should consider the Grayscale. Grayscale's DeFi basket is like, it's 50% uni. I wish I could pull it up here if somebody has it handy. It's like, yeah, it's like 50% uni, and then or 49.9, and then it's like a whole bunch of other good stuff that's like 6 and below. And so, do they have a lean? Do they know something? Are they just positioned for it? It's interesting to me that they're so heavy in one protocol, given that there's some really promising ones that they've like, oh, are they 8 times more bullish on uni than sushi? Their positioning would suggest it's something like that. So that did kind of make me do a double take. What do you think of this regulation? The idea of like, the regulators are swooping in. They want KYC. Yes, it's a DEX, but it has a front-facing thing that's already sort of delisted a few of those stock synths. And then you have the founders are doxxed. So are they safe? Can they operate with impunity?
Right now, and that's centralized exchanges. They've been going after these guys for a long time. If there's cases to build, they've been building cases. All this DeFi shit's really new. And when I see, like the actions Uniswap took with its front end, okay? Here's the thing with these decentralized protocols. The protocol itself, at least for now, there's no way to KYC at the smart contract level. That will be a thing.
Not yet. That's Everest ID, baby.
Civic is working on. So we talked to the Civic guys. They've got
Everest ID, Civic, and the Lit is another kind of identity one, but they're working on it. And so then that's the thing. Once that tool exists, can they force the hand there and say get with it, or Hayden's going to jail?
Or after DeFi at some point, because then DeFi will be the low-hanging fruit. If they do crack down on DeFi right now, I can see these anon dev projects thriving, like Sushi Swap and other things where the developers aren't necessarily big targets or beholden to these rules or whatever. Or I mean, they are, but how are you going to go after one of these fucking anons that uses a voice changer and hides their IP and
how about Nomad on the Spaces last night? That was like a kidnapping movie. Like, so you're telling me, like it was like
for real. It was like, damn, dude. Like
I was eating dinner with one ear in, just like what the fuck.
No, I love it. I've heard that on Dale's Spaces, the first one I ever kind of tuned into, and I heard that, and you gotta respect that.
No, it's cool, man. It's an obvious step to take if you're trying to stay on. I mean, I just kind of
like he's a fucking. I mean, he'll take pictures and show the Chicago like skyline and shit. We know he's a prop trader in Chicago. He's a market maker.
So maybe he just doesn't like his voice, or he's just fucking around having a good time.
No, he wants to be fucking anon.
Nomad has always been very careful about his privacy.
Oh wait, you're saying he does? I thought you said he doesn't want to. Like he's taking pictures and stuff.
No,
he's like
that he's in Chicago.
I mean, we've got the gist of who he is. Just I have no idea.
He'll be happy to know that everyone now knows.
4 years now, I have no idea what he looks like. And no idea what he sounds like.
It's hard, man. I read an article, which I'd love to be like, I'll put it in the description, but I don't know where it is. But I think I tweeted it out somewhere. But it was basically this like steps to take to be anonymous, and the guy wrote this like exhaustive thing, and it was like, step 1, we're going to teach you how to be anonymous if you just want to be safe. Step 2 is like how to avoid a private investigator level of anonymous, and then step 3 was like how to avoid like a government CIA type anonymous, and he basically said that's next to impossible. But like the steps he pointed out it was kind of nauseating to read, right? He's like, oh, you got to have you got to register this company in another tri-state, but not one state, 3 different states, so that the jurisdictions can't interact. And then you got to buy your house under that thing. And then you got to have a different name, like just to avoid anyone who has $5,000 and wants to hire a PI. Like it was very uncomfortable for the idea of somebody who thinks that just changing their name and not using their picture makes them anonymous. Just throwing that out there. I read that and I was like, this makes me uncomfortable. Like I'm just gonna go out there and be super positive and have good karma and not fucking throw shade at anyone, and spend all the money I make very quickly so that there's no target. That's my plan.
All right, check out the GAN I just sent you.
I've got a new one.
I threw that out there the other day. Just I saw, I had these little signals that Novogratz tweet just told me that there's big money like in here buying this thing, shilling their bag, like buying the dip.
Yeah.
That thing, man,
it's moving. Really well, and here's what's sick. You talked about it here when it was moving up to $6. We looked at it that day. And I believe, and don't quote me, I will go back and watch it, but I'm pretty sure
your squiggly probably looked exactly like that.
It was basically like, hey, let's let this move finish, and then let's see about that reload zone. And look at this fucking tag, bro. Did I trade it? No, but is it cool? Yes. Wait. Let's see if I have a squiggly. Do I have a squiggly? Oh, I do. Yeah, not quite, but yeah. The idea was, anytime you see this kind of breakout, guys, it's so easy to FOMO. That's when all the bulls that have been accumulating start talking about it. That's when the guys who just aped in talk about it. But follow it up with a fib. And especially in this kind of crab market, you don't even need a pump chaser zone. You can usually grab a 618, a 702. And like most things, I was focusing on Bitcoin, but this is a sick move, and we're coming into a level. I mean, we're probably going to hit this 0.5. I don't see anything in the way of that. I mean, we're coming into a level today. Right now, so it's not a buy, but if you're trading like I do, but 13's got to get a tag. It's just physics.
Yeah. All right.
So Luna looks good.
I put another one out there that I was getting. I just had a little too much confluence between hearing from different angles. Was Arweave.
Dude, I was thinking about you today when I saw Arweave at 25% yesterday.
Yeah,
because I bought it and started accumulating it because of the chats we had on stream, I think, actually, with Dan a few weeks ago. He's like, Dan knows his shit enough to also know that he doesn't know what's going to happen. But then sometimes you'll catch him and he'll say something like, it's going to fucking go. And I'm like, ooh, because he doesn't say that stuff too often. And so when he said that about Arweave, I was like, okay, I'm done guessing. I'm just going to go pick some up.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Let's go see the chart. Yeah, this is the Bittrex chart. It's coming up. I bought the 786, I think somewhere around there. Nothing crazy, but just starting to build a position, and it's moving. And it's and it also hasn't moved at all, right? So that's
pockets. Yeah, there's fucking air pockets there. When you take a look at some of this shit. When it wants to go, when there's an axe in there, it's gonna go. It's gonna look. Someone who looks at this, who believes in Arweave, like in dollar terms, they're gonna be like, wait, so I can buy it from 11 to 15 bucks, and it's actually traded up to, 30, 40 bucks, and I get to buy it here? Like, fuck, pay up to 15 for 5 million. That's the type of shit when you see that these things can go. You get more of those sort of risk capital allocations from, players that you're gonna see some of this stuff happen again. I think. Clearly there's plenty of risk that the shit, we go in a goblin town, macroeconomic.
It's always lurking, right? It's always lurking. Yeah. And it's easy to ignore when the S&P just made a new high and the FOMC is behind us and Bitcoin's at range highs. It's very easy to get excited, and that's what we are today.
For some shit.
But never go and watch this kind of shit, guys, and be like, I'm going to break my risk rules, or I don't have any. Always. Because I'll tell you what, we'll be here next week, even if Bitcoin's at 10K. I won't be wrecked. I'll be pissed. But just don't do anything that'll take you out of the game, guys. The disclaimer, as always.
One thing I feel stronger than ever about is, sitting here in the U.S. and watching what FTX is doing through FTX US, through Blockfolio. What Sam is getting to. He must be getting the look every day from CNBC, Bloomberg. They all want him on there. Sam is going to continue to become a bigger and bigger kind of force within crypto.
So huge phenomenon.
To me, the optionality, the risk reward of Sam coins right now is so much higher than it was, and it actually keeps getting stronger. I don't know who's selling Solana on a day like today, right? I bought more Solana because it's down 1% or 2%. Someone's clearly selling off some stuff. So take those.
You want to see my squiggly on Solana?
Oh, yeah.
It looks like shit. Oh, this is versus Bitcoin, and this is
Bitcoin.
This is yeah.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it as okay.
Does not look good.
$27. if we are in another, if this bull trend continues and Bitcoin does what it's going to do, I also am working with the Solana Labs team, with the developers at Solana. I'm meeting them. I'm seeing them. They are fucking brilliant. They are doing so much stuff. They raise so much money. To me, that is a truly asymmetric bet right now. Solana, we've always...
That's my best case short term. Like if we want to get, that I could trade, right? And that's what we just saw in Luna, right? You get this, but it is trending down, and here's the one thing about it, because I'm with you. I think it is a very good asymmetric bet. I have a bag I'm not really touching. It's smaller than it was. I took a lot off up here, but it went further and harder than most other things. It went so hard, dude. Like it went from $2 to friggin' 60, and not like a small cap, because that happens all the time. But this thing moved, and it moved. It was the can't die thing. Yeah. So it's late to the bear, and I was actually saying on stream yesterday that maybe this is a good proxy for when alts and Bitcoin pairs have bottomed. Right? It's almost like that downtrend isn't over until Solana hits its reversal.
Well,
that's almost.
ETH. Let's look at Solana ETH, because as bullish as you might be on ETH, like I don't know. I think in pure network value, Solana just still seems cheap. And then with the Sam call, right? Like,
no, this is not it. One sec. See if that helps. Yeah. So I always get confused on the.
It's not it.
It's not it. Yeah, that's Binance Solana USD versus ETH USD divided by.
This one is. The other one was like, I think, a different.
Oh, okay. So what is this? Like this goes down. Solana's losing value, I think, relative to ETH. Right?
I think before you buy any kind of DeFi period, like it's got to be, the holy grail. Like it's got to look good versus BTC. It's got to look good versus Ethereum.
That's one thing I often forget to do. You talk about that. Ledger talks about that. Some of the guys that I appreciate and respect, and I always forget until I hear it. I'm like, okay, like just settle down, RT. Go and look at it versus everything. So you're sitting on the rocket fuel, not one thing that's just caught in the mix of bullshit, right? I need to remember to do that more, because that's it, right? If Bitcoin's trending up versus USD, and you've got something that's trending up versus Bitcoin, that can be as simple as that. But then you got your DeFi and your ETH. Like it gets confusing.
Dude,
I would like a screener that could just capture the trend versus three different things, and if it's trending bullish for all three, you get like a punched out like a name. Like that would be a screener. Someone build that, I'll pay you.
How about finding the bottom of FTT the other week with that, which turns out to be almost certainly CZ in Binance selling their FTT into Bitcoin. I mean, that thing
sick, eh?
Yeah.
When I saw this, I tweeted it. So? I messaged you right away. I said, Rob, what is going on here? Like that's that was something else, and it was driving the market. I mean, you watch any other exchange, and the ARBs were just chasing this. This was the order. Yeah. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't even know about my FTT versus Bitcoin. And like again, FTT is one of my bigger bags, just because I feel like fuck it, it'll be fine. But do I want to let it be outpaced by Bitcoin if this just confirmed another little bearish M top? Do I want to let it unwind?
I'm seeing the inverse head and shoulders meme right there, as one possibility.
Ooh.
Here's the thing about these exchange coins, especially, something like FTT, with, like Rob was saying, I mean, Sam Bankman-Fried is literally a phenomenon right now. He's 29. He's a multi-billionaire. Like, he's taking the crypto world by storm. He's bros with Tom Brady. He's got his fucking brand on a stadium. He's partnered with MLB. Like, everybody.
He's doing good things, too.
They're going to know who this fucking guy is. Like, period.
I feel like
he disassociated with Alameda because it was a conflict of interest. Like, he's gone all in.
I feel like he's a good dude. Like, his heart's in the right place, and I love that shit. When you're that powerful, that rich, and coming up that fast, you do your charities. You're talking. He's doing the climate credits, and I don't want to get into guys.
Ferrari, dude sleeps in a beanbag. He's going to give all his money away. He literally was born a giga brain,
good vibes,
huge heart. He wants to change the world. And I think he can do it.
I believe that. Yeah, I really get good vibes from him when I hear him say. And some people will be like, "Oh, that's just PR. That's just carbon credits are bullshit." I'm not going to get into all that. The bottom line is he's putting that face on, and that means it's important to him, and I like it. So yeah, FTT is something I could shill to the high heavens. But I did notice this BTC cross again yesterday, and I thought, if I'm bullish Bitcoin dominance, do I want more FTT? You know, like that's always the question, right? I'm so bullish on it and Solana. If anything, I want more of it. Can I get, a sell and buyback? This is not a sell and buyback level, but there might be one soon. I don't know.
I mean, when altcoins start fucking again, you can count on FTT going very fucking hard and being extremely resilient to any kind of shock, dips, et cetera, et cetera. That's typically the case with these exchange coins.
And I guess that's maybe where I'm trying to play it a little close. Like, I know I'm shaving with a straight razor here because I might risk missing something. Like I'll hold some because I need it for fees or whatever. But once this takes off, it'll be that basket, right? It'll be, Solana's back in the bull and FTT's back in the bull and now Oxy and Ray and Serum, like everything's running. We're just not there yet. I don't see it anywhere on any of those charts.
Where do we flip? If it reverses and goes above to create like the W, I mean, where do we get?
Well, for the number one thing, and we talk about this all the time, is you just want to see the volume and the volume impetus, right? Who is in control? And the bears never really came in here. I mean, even through all this, there wasn't crazy sell volume. So in some ways you could say, but like right here on Serum, for example, I mean, there's no major buy volume signals. Let's go back to here for Serum. It got kind of quiet, and then it was like, oh, look, bulls stepping in. And so at the very least, I want to see that kind of thing where the bulls are going to step in and give us like in the next few weeks, like they've got plans. They're not here yet. Versus Bitcoin, let's go see obviously here, they're just not here yet. There was a little noise last week. This was sort of Sam Trabucco being like, we never thought we'd see FTT this cheap. Of course we're long. And then a week later they raised $900 million. Of course we're long. But I don't see it sort of en masse, and it is a basket play. So we should see it across all of them when that day comes. And yeah, I just don't yet. Which is great news for me as somebody who took their profit on most of those and really would like to load up the truck and do it as cheap as possible.
One of the really interesting things about this cycle, and I think that the proof is in the pudding here. When you have Sam Trabucco on Twitter, saying that they're buying, you've got these guys that are industry insiders that are committed to the growth of this industry, and they're not afraid to put their fucking money where their mouth is. These are the guys that, without them, who knows how low Bitcoin would have gone. We went up. I mean, maybe it would have gone higher and had that parabolic chart, but at the same time, who knows how long, low it would have gone. You're actually seeing money in the ecosystem. That maybe they did exit the market, maybe they did de-risk, but they came back in when they thought assets were cheap, and they bought like fucking crazy in 2017, 2018. I don't feel like we had that. I feel like it was mostly just rent seekers, who rode the bubble up, made a ton of money, dipped the fuck out. Bitcoin bubble popped again. See you later. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I'm reading the chat and.
Yes, I knew you were looking at that. I was like, Rob does not approve of this commentary.
Also, the claim that Sam is scummy. Listen, back when he was just looked at as the first on the leaderboard or second on the leaderboard market making account on BitMEX, there was more impetus to say, fuck the market maker, watching how the market was moving, because we don't know what it was. There's arguments out there that it was a BitMEX internal desk that was kind of hunting stops and new shit. Who knows? But I get how Sam, the big bad market maker back then, would be, a villain, but he's not, in my opinion. If I had conversations with him, I've met him in person, he is not a villain.
Like an evil person. Yeah.
Truly good, hard, and is yeah, but amazing traders like that, they are fucking competitive as hell, and they're gonna win. They're gonna make their money. They're gonna,
that's what I was gonna say.
Is from less informed participants.
I was gonna say, like, at worst, he's like a very good and predatory trader, where it's like you have the same set of rules, you have the money, and you're going in max. Like, why wouldn't you? If you like, I know this, I know that, I have these tools, I'm gonna get as much as possible. That's the competitive nature of it. And if I'm losing to that guy, I might be inclined to be salty, and I have probably been on the opposite ends of trades of him. Like, there was times on FTX where, you know, the meme was like, if you get limit filled on FTX, you're wrong. And it was because, you know, they would jump around your orders, but if you got filled, you're like, okay, it's going down. Like, I get that. And I did definitely sometimes get pissed. But not at him, not like, ooh, he's bad. And I'm, you know, like, fuck, that's ridiculous.
I don't know how Sam's being vilified. Like,
I'll tell you when I got really pissed.
Villain, it's just saying.
Let me tell you when I got really pissed. When I first bought FTT, they were lower volume. It was back here in like October 2019. This wick, I'll never forget this wick. This is why I don't own more FTT. Because look at that stupid ass wick, and it was just like it was whatever.
Can you please get that chart off the screen, because it's making me sick at my stomach because I didn't buy back then.
Yeah, no, that's
even on that wick. That was a system problem. The system literally because that wasn't even a crazy wick. It was probably like bids offers got pulled. Their system went down to
somebody market sold some shit. It wasn't even that much. Yeah, like so that was. And I'm an idiot because at the time I'm like, I'm investing in FTX because I think it's going to be the next Binance, and I had a stop loss, and it was so far below price. I thought, oh well, if it goes here, it must be a bad trade. Like, and I got wicked, and I was too salty to get back in like shortly after. So yeah, I get it. If you guys are mad because that's something like that happened to you, I get it. But like, own it, man. I bought FTX or FTT. Like, I started loading up in the 4s and unloading in the 40s, like whatever. Yeah. It's trading, baby.
You know, there's being on the bandwagon and coming off like we preach, because we have for a while the sandbags, right, and those coins. But honestly, to me, it just represented the most skewed, like positive expected value trade, or one of them out of the whole opportunity set. It like you feel like you have some reduced risk and some elevated upside. And I can't, you know, I don't have those same kind of feelings with other shitcoins that I'm buying or networks that I'm looking at.
Yeah. So, well, that's the big risk we talk about all the time is, you know, you want to be in altcoins because it's like, oh, they're 100x potential. They're better than Bitcoin potential. Yes. But you want to make sure they're fucking still there, right? In 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So when I look at the same basket, I'm just thinking about longevity. I'm thinking about funding. I'm thinking about backing. And that's probably one of the strongest clusters of backing that I see. So that's why I'm, you know, it's the one sort of basket that I've pulled the DCA on.
Liquidity too, you know,
I just feel good about
needs volatility, and they say stairs up, elevator down for a reason. It's elevator down because that's a low liquidity environment. You know, and when it is like that, when you're looking at a bag like FTT, you know that liquidity is going to be there. So when it is time to boogie, you know, when we do reverse, when this does start getting hyper bullish again, it's going to go. People are going to be piling in. Everybody wants FTT.
Yeah, the narrative is good. It's there, and it's going to be really good. Now, I might have spoken too soon. We were looking at Bitcoin pairs for FTT, Solana things. This looks very much ready to go. If you just look in USD terms, and this is why I actually tweeted it out yesterday. I said because of that daily close yesterday, that cheeky little, you know, higher high, I guess you could say, on the daily, I did go and add to my bag by a little bit, not like crazy, but maybe up to by 20%. But yeah, I mean, versus USD for my DCA, blah, 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 FTT looks really good. And you do see the bulls waking up, right? You see the downtrend, you see the slow death, boring, and then it's like, ooh. And this was the announcement of the 900 million and, you know, the Alameda going long and all that shit. So I feel like the bull is probably back for FTT here. And so it's just a matter of like the Bitcoin ratio. Do I want to overtrade it? Probably not.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think like looking at Serum, like let's talk about some fundamental stuff. So Serum has an expected, like their unlock cycle, which lasts 6 years, begins, I think, at the beginning of September. So if you were in this, you know, the Serum private sale, right, your coins were locked for a year. And then from after the year's up, at year one, you start to unlock linearly, I think, every day for the next 6 years. Now, bit by bit, some serum is going to be coming out. So, people are looking at that as an unlock date. But I think serum's burn mechanism, clearly people look at this fully diluted valuation as crazy. But I think the way that the stuff unlocks and then the burn mechanism as volume grows, Sam is on record saying like he cares more about serum and the decentralized stuff. So it's like,
yeah, like
I think
it's a nice proxy to,
I don't know if it's ready to go yet. I don't know if it's going to get any sort of like love before that unlock, but it could be one of those, oh, the shit's unlocking every day for 6 years. Like there's not going to be some massive exodus. Like, okay, we can buy it now. So
yeah, that's another thing. And this is, again, going out to anyone who develops stuff. If you could make a site or some place where we could track unlocks, token holdings, and let me know if there is one, because that is one of the most underrated pieces of analysis. Like how many times I ape into a price chart or I ape into something that's fundamentals and market cap, and then I find out that there's like a monstrous unlock schedule for the next 6 months, and I was on the wrong side of that one. So yeah, I think that's good info. It's a daily vesting, you're saying, for 6 years?
Yeah.
Like a drip?
It's a drip.
So I'll tell you what, in 6 years, it's, that's going to be the optimal time to see the supply demand like we saw with a lot of coins through 2017, 2018, 2019. A lot of that bull market shit was really just the end of vesting schedules coming back in 2020 where it's like, oh, the supply is all out there. It's bottomed out. And then they bottomed. I don't know if I'd want to call a 6-year bottoming cycle on this. But
I'm hearing, I'm seeing the Sam Maxey crew talk. Honestly, this is more like CMS. Like, I want to be rich. I don't care about being like right. I'm kind of on the Sam Maxey bus because I want to fucking like cash in on that bus. That dude's he's winning. He's doing it the best, and he has, I think, some of the deepest understanding of how this shit works because they're everywhere. They're making markets. They are liquidity, and they know how it fucking moves. So it's just, to me, it's a simple bet.
Also, just to be clear, we're not like, we don't come and plan the show and be like, hey, let's go talk Sam again. Like, we don't need to talk up his bags. This is just us talking markets, and obviously we like the subject, and then people hate on it, so we feel the need to get into it. If you guys have other altcoins you'd like to discuss and it's driving you crazy because you've seen something like a diamond in the rough and you're like, well, these guys keep talking about the same 10 bags, hit us up. Let's take a look at some stuff. But I will tell you this, if it's like, ooh, X guy from Facebook and 3 other random guys from here, and they've come together and they're smart and they've got a cool product, that's great. And I've invested in some of those things, and I want those kinds of things to do well too. But there's almost nothing that I've found, as Rob was saying, with that kind of just the backing, the network. I mean, we've seen how fast SBF has moved this year, just with things like Blockfolio, MLB, Miami Arena. Like, this guy's taken over the world. He's not stopping. It's going to be really hard to convince me that I can find a better basket. But I'm all for it. Let's find some names.
I wanted to, really quick, because look, I love the energy here, right?
Hello? Are we back? I think TradingView's done. I think I'm back. We're back. I think we should do a 5-minute wrap. I feel bad. That was a good vibe. That was a good stream. I'm going to do a 5-minute wrap regardless. See if I can get messy in here. Maybe Rob. What? You can hear me. All right. We are going to wrap it up, guys. I am back, though. Okay. Yeah, there we go. We'll just do a quick wrap here, boys.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. I will conclude this thought. Just something interesting. Hey, you guys!
All right. Thanks for that. I was looking forward to your story, so I'm a little sad. But hey, we'll use that as a cliffhanger for next episode. Rob didn't even message me after. I don't know where he went.
Rob's gone to eat dinner with kids.
Okay,
Super fast. Okay. The TLDR of this story is there's this known manipulator that a lot of people track that has crashed markets before. One of the theories here, and this is what I believe, is that this is going to run, and you are going to have people in Wojak mode thinking this is over. So it's very interesting to where you see this move, which has felt like an invisible hand is propping it up. You've seen liquidity get, extremely good again. And this known manipulator has moved 3,000 Bitcoin to exchanges in the last day. So just something to be careful of. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying that we're going to zero, but I just wanted to cut through the euphoria talking here a little bit, bring everybody back down to reality, and just advise you.
Yeah.
Look, Bitcoin has gone up 50%. Okay, in 8 days? Be careful, please. This could go either way here.
I did open a scalp short. As I mentioned, and I mean, why wouldn't I? The way that I trade when we come in and hit those highs, and then after the FOMC today, we shot back up, and obviously I'm like, oh, nice, we're going to go to, and then I just looked at it, I was like, I've got to take a little short there. Like, I've got so much, I've got all exposure now. So, I do have a little scalp short. It doesn't even cover a fifth of my positions, so like it's not like a full hedge, but yeah, I'd like to make some money if we're going to go to these rangy Qs or whatever. If you're going to counter trade sentiment, which is what I was doing down here, then I should probably be thinking a little bit short here. So I do have a little one. Full disclosure.
I don't know. Someone's buying it. I hope it's not that man bear whale guy that is about to rug us all. That would stink. I think this is one thing we haven't even talked about. Like China rugged Bitcoin with the whole mining thing, right? But China just rugs their entire tech sector.
What the fuck are they doing, man?
Is that what that was? The stocks all just went...
Dude, they are literally for whatever reason, they're not believing in this sort of technology. They're believing in more industrial, there's some crazy shit I've read on it. And they're literally sabotaging some of their best companies, like their Uber, this Didi ride sharing. They fucking punished them for going public in the US. Their whole education sector.
Rob, what the fuck are these guys doing? What put on your tinfoil hat for a second. What the fuck are they doing?
I don't know. I honestly think that this is a very large mistake that they're doing. This is communism at the end. That they're trying to make sure that industry and it's almost like a war mentality a little bit. I was reading, but I think it's crazy.
When you say a war mentality, do you mean by destabilizing their own economy, maybe they can shake things up in the Western world? What exactly happens in an environment to where China's economy, equity sectors become extremely unstable? Is it a flight to safety in Western assets, or do Western assets, do some of the banking troubles and things like that spill over, like they did, in the 2010s? What's the word here?
I honestly don't know. It's crazy to me, but what it tells me is that whole thing was just kicking off their process. Bitcoin is down 50%. Or it was down more from where they started this mining whole fucking FUD and really put they fucked the Bitcoin network up. But it's not so crazy. It kind of makes more sense now, and it actually that sort of action makes me more bullish Bitcoin. To watch the shenanigans that countries, that central banks, that these parties can take. And they fuck their own people up. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. So, but the one thing that I do get is I think that's one of the reasons to diversify from those sort of sovereign currencies into Bitcoin. I mean, at the core. So it doesn't surprise me that we caught a bid. Now, was there any, here's another thing we didn't really talk about is this bid in Bitcoin, this mysterious bid in Bitcoin tied to Tether fear and FUD, where people are like, I'm selling my Tether for whatever, for Bitcoin. Like, I'm getting out of Tether, getting into Bitcoin.
I don't know about that. The USDC pair is super liquid, and I saw when that news came out that thing was just shooting up. I mean, you can just flip if you want to be in stables, you don't need Tether. So it used to be the case, right, where it's like, oh, I don't want Tether, I need to buy assets. I don't think that's the case anymore.
I agree, but Tether was the big East Asia, like that was kind of how they were getting money.
Okay. Yeah, so it's more like your Asian-centric theory around like what we're talking about.
In the Western world, we have this big distrust of Tether, but in the Eastern world, it's actually the exact opposite. They think about USDC in the way that we think about Tether. So that's a very interesting dynamic there.
They use Tether to move capital out. China does strong capital controls. They don't like that, but there's like, you go across the border and you're like moving Tether for real goods, and they're trying to get money out of this. Tether is a really big part. That's why it was trading 2 to 3% over $1, because they were buying it in mass, like in bulk. I remember when I met Sam Bankman-Fried in Taiwan in July of 2019, that was the story. We did an interview with Crypto Man Rand for CNBC, global or international, and he said, what coin are you, what trade are you seeing that's most, exciting to you? And Sam was like, I'm going to go with Tether. And here's why. And it was because OTC, they were selling Tether at 102, 103, the Chinese like money and the money that was flowing out of some of these countries was, there was like an insatiable need for Tether. And I think that,
there's no doubt that the liquidity, for a while, if you looked at, I forget the site, I don't have it handy, but there was a really cool like ribbons visual chart of like the volume flow in crypto, and Tether was like this, and then there was like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else. Like Tether was, and it makes sense because it just, even if you don't like crypto and you just want to move money, it's probably the easiest, fastest, cheapest way to move money around the world. So that makes sense. I think it'd be nice to spread it out. I don't like the idea that, and I think that the Tether FUD is definitely lost its holding on the market as it did in 2017, 2018. But I'd like to see anything like that get diversified. Why not? Fuck single points of failure. So it'll be interesting. I still hold some. I try to hold a little balance if I'm going to be big in stables that it's USDC, which personally I feel a little more comfortable with. But I'm sure it'll be around. I joked the other day on Twitter, like there's still somebody somewhere waiting for Tether to implode, and that's why like they're not getting into crypto. It's like, well, since 2017 they've been like, Tether's going to burn down all of crypto. It's like, bro, are you still beating that drum? Like there's no value in that drum.
Right.
It's funny to me, but there's guys in every thread, you go into any reply guys, they're just like, yes, but don't buy Bitcoin because Tether. It's like, oh God, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna send you this picture. I gotta try to find it of me sitting there with Sam at that CNBC thing. That was kind of hilarious to look at.
Look, real quick, for anybody who is probably part of the majority right now, who is having a hard time getting along through here, who's probably like out of their assets, at some point through this, you got shaken out. Don't be ashamed. It happens to the best of us, and in many ways happened to me too. Like I don't have quite as many things as I did up here. So all that to say, if you are dying for an entry, I agree with Messi. We got to temper expectations here. We're at range highs. I've got a scalp short going because I'd love to capture if we're going to pull back, blah, blah, blah. But look, just like I think we're going to tag the underside of this 200 MA, at some point we're going to tag the upper side of this 50 MA. So is it as simple as having a plan to just say, look, I'm going to maintain my bullish conviction in the face of a dump or a pullback? I'm not going to flip bear and go on socials and I really want to buy. Well, you don't necessarily have to just ape into the range highs. I think that's probably the worst thing you could have done through all of this. It's probably the worst trade right now, even if it ends up breaking out. It's just not good EV, whatever you want to call it. But if at any point it pulls back into some other level, like, there's going to be the 50 MA is probably the easiest one I can think of now. Range EQ is another obvious one. If we stay in this range, that's probably the downside target, which is at like 36. So, keep your head on a swivel. And that's what I'm telling myself right now is like, don't suddenly flip bear. And I say that to myself, if I want to buy more Bitcoin because we're at range highs, it's like, no, hold my hands, sit on my hands. But if we get into here, I'm not going to flip bear. I'm going to look for that dip.
I like that perspective, because it's like, which one of those is it going to tag first? We do know it's probably going to do both of those things, you said. But, also let's call the DeFi bearishness. DeFi ran before Bitcoin in 2020. Another scenario I can see playing out, we are in between those two very significant moving averages now. What if we get a volatility squeeze, in between those two? That's when DeFi really runs, and then you have Bitcoin breaking to the upside, when it breaks out of that. Something else I think that could happen here.
That's why I touched on today in the newsletter. Like, I'm about 50-50 in alts right now with Bitcoin, and that's just like spread out across a lot of bags, like just investments, whatever, from last sort of cycle or earlier this year. I think at this point the question is like, well, if I'm so bullish on Bitcoin dominance, why not 80% Bitcoin? Why not 90%? And the reason is I don't have a fucking crystal ball, right? Like you said, we could stay down in this range, right? If we get rejected here, and initially there's a little shock to the market, but then it's just like, ooh, Bitcoin's ranging, alt season. That could happen. And I don't want to just sell a bunch of alts here at range highs on their dips to capture what I see as maybe a multi-month rally for Bitcoin dominance.
Interesting, and this is something we talked about before. I know we're probably trying to wrap it up here, so I'll keep this very short. That when we saw Bitcoin dominance tank, that really wasn't much of DeFi's doing, right? It was shit coins. And when did the shit coins pump? Okay, they pumped in the euphoria stages of the bull market. I'm wondering here if we can have a situation again to where DeFi can run, can kind of mute that dominance take back, of Bitcoin. And then for me, when I'm going to start getting really, really afraid, is when I start seeing Dogecoin pumping like fucking crazy again.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Or just any kind of mania. Like that's what I think we fucked up. And we've talked about it before is, we're like, well, there's no mania yet, so this can't be the top.
Bro.
But there was mania in parts of the market. It just wasn't in any of the shit I was holding. It wasn't in any of the legacy coins or whatever. It was in all the friggin' dog coins. And there was a
people that bought
crazy
dog coins were totally euphoric. It is what it is.
Well, and that was that meeting I was on that day where I saw that that every 12 minutes there's a new dog coin going 12x that just got created, and that's when I sold some shit. I was like, oh, this really is a mania. It's just not where I want it to be. So we'll keep an eye on that. Did you find that picture, Rob?
I'm looking for it. I can't fucking find it.
Hey, Donnie Dow. Good to see you, man. If you guys have been sticking around with us, even through the blip, that was actually just a filter for our true fans. And now we have a special giveaway. No, we don't. But appreciate you guys sticking around. I know that, I don't know what the hell happened. It was like my Wi-Fi just went like this. And I was going to, that like network diagnostics on Windows. It's like, never have I ever in the history of life clicked that and it fixed my internet, but it actually worked. And then thank God the YouTube is still running. So
I really like that happened, because that's a really good analogy, for what could happen with Bitcoin. I was talking about how excited we were in the energy. Then we were rugged, and hey, now we're back and everybody's good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, the way I'm positioned now that I've got this little scalp short, what does my wish list look like? Let's squeeze it out. Let's get all, like, there's no free lunch, guys. This wouldn't be that weird. Oh, we all want to become bulls after the friggin' 8-day bull run? Nope. Squeeze it out, shake it out, right into that pump chaser zone, into the range EQ.
You were bullish at the bottom. I mean, fucking nailed that call. So let's see how your next one plays out. Let's see. Are you about to go on a streak?
I nailed the idea. I mean, I didn't long it as bigly as I could have. I'm not any richer in particular. You know, it's weird when you have these drawdowns too, and then you crawl back and you're like, that's a 5-figure, you know, but it's like, it doesn't feel like it because it's still like X multiple, whatever below, like, you know, so I don't feel like I made anything on that push up, but hey, I'm in a better position than it could have been. Let's see what this looks like. We're ranging until we're not. So for now we're ranging, but this is interesting to me, right? Keep an eye on this volume. We didn't, you know, that's like kind of bubbling up breakout volume. So I'm not like mega short here. I saw it today and I thought, yeah, I'll slap on like, you know, maybe 25% of my Bitcoin holdings are now hedged. And yeah, but like if we get this, I don't know where you guys are. It's a long weekend, but it's a long weekend for us. So maybe there's a little stagflation in the market, and we get into that range EQ, pump chaser zone, all that shit, and then we can pop off into August.
I got the picture there. It looks like Bitcoin. Someone's.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pull up. Can I put it on the screen here? Is that the idea?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what you want. All right, there he is. Ain't aged a day. Actually, I'd say you look arguably a little younger. Sam looks identical to Sam. That's awesome, dude. Where is this?
Dude, you look good with short hair. What are you doing, man?
That was Taiwan.
I don't know. I like the mop. Despite having cut off all my hair, I'm hedging wave 3 of COVID. I don't want the salons to shut down again. I get stuck with a mop, so I went short.
RT, when did you shave your head?
I didn't. This is actually a haircut. It's just really, really short. I could totally. And then my cleaning lady hid all my hats apparently. So
the Hxro squad is.
You got my hat.
You know, we're doing it pretty big right now. You know, we shaved our heads for the potential of a bull market. You know, we made the sacrifice.
When Rob shaves his head, we'll moon.
Yeah, Rob,
no,
you're
that's sad because I actually paid for a haircut.
You guys in one of the pits that I traded in back when I was young, I had long hair and they paid me $500 to shave my head, and I went right during the day.
You're too rich to do that shit now. Can we make a friendly wager though? That
I'm too old at this point.
Can we make a friendly wager here? You know, let's think about this. So, what if we do pull back right here? You know, how low do you think we go? You know, if this is the bull market.
I don't know. I mean, looks like why not 36, 35,000? I mean that.
Okay.
Wouldn't
you're going to say 36 or 35.
I don't know, 36, 35, 34. I mean, isn't there some?
So I think 32 or 33. If I'm right, you've got to shave your head in support of your fellow Delta Phi crew. If you're right, what do I have to do?
I'm old, man. I'm not 22 anymore. Shaving my head, hell no.
Come on.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
I'll take the 500.
I did it. Yeah, it wasn't gratifying. I took that $500 back then. It didn't do much for me. That was. Yeah.
We're missing the fact that Messi, I didn't shave my head. I went to a salon. Okay, it was like a cheap one, but I went for like a $20 haircut, and she got a little carried away. I just said, look, go edge on the side of shortness, because if we get locked down again, I don't want that fucking mop. Yeah. But I missed my hat, man. It's not that it's short hair. I just have this monstrous friggin' forebrain cranium forehead going on. So it's just like my buddies call it the long mile or some shit when I was growing up. Yeah. That 10-gallon. 10-gallon brain. So I like to think of it as a galaxy brain, but you know, the jury's still out.
We all know how he called the bottom now.
Yeah, well, I wish, man, dude. If I got my long,
dude, you were telling me about that. I honestly, I didn't believe you. You know, I truly didn't. But you were right.
I wanted to beat the horse, like I wanted to beat the table, pound the table a little harder against you when you were being so fucking bearish at the lows. But I had to hold my tongue. I said, well, we'll see. Dude, let me just tell you why I'm not like celebrating this, because I mean this is like loser shit. You don't do this when you're a trader. But down here that night, I recognized my own sort of giving up in the market, and I pulled this up, and I set bids here for like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 Bitcoin on leverage, and then I ran up to dinner. I canceled them. I was like, I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm too stressed. And I canceled them.
No.
And before I got back from dinner, it was like up to here, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I woke up and it was zoop, and I just went pissed. And then, of course, that feeling exacerbated itself throughout.
So then you rage shorted it. all the way right there.
Yeah, then I shorted it, rage. No, so I did end up, buying like all my spot. I had accumulated spot that I didn't sell, and then I added spot here, and then I added spot here. So I mean, I did okay. But yeah, this would have been like, hey, RT, you called the fucking bottom. Like I would have flexed that P&L all over your face today. It would have been great. But I didn't. And that's sort of the nature of how I've been trading. And that's part of why I set up that futures account that's just small. So it's like, go to dinner, don't give a fuck, right? Clearly,
it's really important, though, that this
I was trading with too much size.
And the market returns, and if we can put in that higher low here, look, the apes, we got to win, finally, like the apes fucking won. Like,
yeah.
It feels good. It's before, like you said, literally you would have entered at the exact bottom, but you said, oh, well, fuck it. I don't know. This is kind of weird. I'm going to go to dinner or whatever. But now when this shit goes down, there's going to be apes and they're going to be ready. It's
well, that's the thing. Yeah. This dip coming up, if we get one here, it's the one everyone wants now. And that's why I'm actually not too sure about it. Because there is a lot of buy volume coming up here.
It either goes straight up or it goes lower than people think. So
yeah, 35, 36 feels like too good to be true, and that's going to make it hard to bid. But again, I like operating in spot. And here's what's weird, and this is probably stupid. When I have a spot, like I buy a spot Bitcoin, I don't see a P&L, right? It drops 1,000, it goes up 2,000. I don't know. I don't give a fuck. I don't check my tracker, right? But when I get on like FTX and I long like a couple Bitcoin or something on leverage, I see it tick. It's like, ooh, 800, 1,200, 2,000. And that's something as a trader I need to detach from, and clearly, right? Because you can see through this. The other error I made is I did try to long it, along 2 or 3 of these bottoms. I didn't get wrecked on them, but like it definitely got in my head. So then by the time you're here, there's a little bit of exhaustion, and it's like the whole market got exhausted at the same spot. So I always tell myself, be late to the idea, like often to these kinds of things, I'm early to the idea. I'm like, ooh, RLZ. But it's once it's like pure absurdity that the real trade comes in. And
yeah,
sometimes I nail it, sometimes I don't. It's all about that month-over-month equity curve, man. I'm getting more and more comfortable missing trades as time goes on. Kind of like you said, Rob, like it's still painful when things go down, but you just start to not really care as much.
It's really painful when like guys in your feed are just digging in like Messi. There was one point where like Messi, shut the fuck up.
Dude, I almost blocked you like the other day because you were like, cash is king, like grab a bag, and I was like, fuck you, man, like leave me alone. I'm trying to get long at the lows here.
So most of what I comment on is going to be Ethereum and altcoins. I don't really fuck with Bitcoin. I'm going to be a Bitcoin dude this time though, because I fucked that up so many times in the past, just being like, I'm an altcoin guy, I don't mess with Bitcoin. I mean that was just a colossal fuck up. I'm looking at the volume profile now from the 14th of April, the Pico top to present, and we've got a B shape forming too, which is really interesting. The point of control is towards the bottom of that. I think that this could be a continuation situation for sure. At least it supports that.
The B, yes, I like that. Good eye. Yeah, and I guess you just reminded me one last thing I was going to mention earlier. We should wrap here because I'm sure I smell dinner too. I'm sure Rob's got some dinner.
Expiry this week. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The one thing is we'd like to see in a range is you want to see this VPVR filled in. So earlier you mentioned like just based on this straight line, there's lots of gaps, and that's true, but that's not the full range. That's one move, and so naturally there would be huge gaps, and yeah, we could take them back, but I think the stronger visual of that is this full range. And if you want to capture the entire thing, you get a better, clearer picture of what price is done with this level. And it has mostly filled in. And if anything, I think there's room to fill in this top half of the range first. And that's part of why I was kind of thinking maybe I'll take a scalp short at the highs here, because coming back in to do that one last tag and go, if we're thinking breakout, that would actually fill this in really nicely. And look, and there's your 35. That's kind of so I really like that thinking if I want to A, look for shorts up against these highs, or B, wait to bid this 35, 36 level, which will probably be getting bid aggressively, I would think. We'll see. Unless there's news or some shit, it might actually get there. So
I definitely think we're all going to make it.
I think we're going to make it.
In a nutshell.
Apes are like look, we're gonna make it.
Not making it is off the table for me right now.
TLDR for the show today, guys, and you heard it here first. We're all gonna make it. I think we already knew that through this, but it does. God, it feels bleak sometimes, right? It just, you sit here and chat with Rob. And,
how's this? And this is like typical kind of Suzu signal type of shit. He's got a massive bag of the grayscale like trade. He had it on. They made a lot of money on it. I'm sure that they all wish they got out of more of it when they could at a premium. But he's got a massive bag of GBTC. And he dropped a tweet this morning about the discount. I think we're going to see that thing close up. I honestly don't understand how institutional money isn't like allocating more to the GBTC long and even hedging it with like a future whatever. I don't.
It gapped up this week. Yeah,
I think we're going to see it close. Barry told us he's 100% committed to the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust becoming an ETF. Like that discount, in my opinion, I think there's edge there. A lot of people say, well, some of these funds and trusts trade at a discount forever, and that's just maybe, but I don't know.
What would a premium look like? Like it's hard to see it on the chart. What does it have to get to be back in that kind of green?
I don't even think it's, dude. I think the play is just converging. Like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is supposed to represent a Bitcoin. Like it's supposed to be trading at par. Now there's a mechanism where you can't redeem and yada yada yada, all the gigabrain stuff. But
yeah.
I think we're gonna see the discount close considerably.
I posted a place where you can monitor the premiums of the Grayscale products in Discord.
Oh, love that.
If you want to check that out, it's still trading at a discount.
Yep.
And I'm not sure. I don't think do they have a historical. Yeah, so they've got a historical premium chart.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. So here we've got it still trading at a 6.76% discount.
I mean, we're closing the gap for sure, but the premium has not returned yet.
I don't think premium returns. I think it goes to ETF. We're past premium, in my opinion, for this. I think we're getting into ETF territory, but I do think that buying it at the 15% discount, like how more institutional money who look at like ARBs and different trades and be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Okay, next week we need to get into depth on this Bitcoin ETF, what it might mean, because look, I think it's kind of become memed, right? Because in 2017 it was like, oh, we're going to do it. 2018 we're going to do it. 2019, and remember 2019, like the bear market hopium was maybe ETF dates, right? And they kept pushing them back, and it's almost got to this point where it's like you fall asleep at the wheel. People are like, that's not going to happen. But if it does, and presumably it will, I think just based on the way humans are, like I feel like it will get done. What could it mean? And then is that maybe where all this fucking reaccumulation is coming from? Does somebody know something, or they're just placing the bet that once that happens, it's going to be so good that it's worth the risk at 30K? Like, let's have that conversation next week. Maybe leave that as a cliffhanger for today, because I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
For sure. I think one thing to watch, this is the last hour of the daily here. I'd kind of watch it. I'm kind of interested to see if they, if Operation Save the Daily, Operation Goose the Daily, whoever's at work here.
Yeah.
Oh, or if
it's been. I feel like it's been moving down here. I got to zoom in here. Let's see what's the 5 minutes.
Be refreshing crypto Twitter all night. And
there's
gonna be so much drama.
If they close, it's like, okay, we're going to 50,000 potentially like in a day, but the thing can also just absolutely get wrecked here. And
I'll tell you one thing, hands down. I just have no longs here. There's no setup unless you're just like, come on, rocket ship, let's take a gamble. Like if you're a trader and you're longing this, you have a different setup than me, I guess. But I did take this little short reload zone. We'll see.
On the Bitcoin tether pair on Binance,
the
daily candle has been green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this would be the 8th day in a row.
GD8, bro. The 9's coming up.
Oh.
Somebody said on Twitter, which I thought was cool, it was like the last time we had 8 in a row, I think was like right here. Something like that. Like just back here, and it was like this idea of like...
I don't think you're sharing your screen anymore.
Oh, shit.
We're in the studio.
Oh... I did that on stream yesterday for like 10 minutes, everyone. I didn't even check the chat. Everyone's like, dude, you have not been sharing your screen. Okay. Where was the last 8? I think it was like here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it was sideways and like a shakeout for 6 days and then just fucking moon. So I do, we're at range highs, a little bits of bearish divergence. The bulls are here. They're waking up, but 8 days, I'll call cool it for a few days here if I have to make a call. And then the only question is like, how cheap can we buy at this point? The bull, in my opinion, is back. Like, I'll just leave it at this, man. This RSI to me, I don't trade heavily off the RSI, but look at that. This thing's been trending down since friggin' January through all the fucking euphoria. And it just broke out and went straight to overbought. Like, that's a strong breakout. So as this,
a good indicator. It's one of the few indicators actually that has predictive qualities.
Yes, because it broke out before price did this time. Yep. And it does that, right? MACD, moving averages, they're lagging. This thing broke out like a day before price, right? We got the move off the bottom. We moved sideways for a day. And you can see the RSI broke out right there. And that's actually what I said in the newsletter last week. When that happens, I'm going to ape into more Bitcoin. And I picked it up at 33, 34. And I'm learning that about the RSI, that it has that predictive. So I'm glad you pointed that out. So if this pulls back, really any amount down here, like, can I be, embarrassed? Like, no, that's the start of a very, 7-month trend reversal. So, yeah. Feels good, but does it feel good at 39 and 40 on anything like leverage? No, not for me personally. I'll pass on that.
They might goose this close.
What do you mean goose? What is goose? Up, down?
Goose, yeah. I don't know. Someone's trying it. There's shenanigans in there.
I'll tell you this, having looked at the 5-minute a bit today, like, it's hectic. It's hectic. Yeah. We're very volatile. Like, you'll get 1,000 down FOMC, 2,000 up, 3,000 down. Like, it's a trader's paradise if you can get in there and you know what you're doing. But
I mean, look, the way the gamma is right now, if the price goes down, dealers are buying. If the price goes up, dealers are buying.
Why are dealers buying if it goes down? You're saying that they're long, the dealers are long those puts?
Well, look at the map. Yeah, you can actually see what I posted in Discord.
But if you're buying when it goes up, when it goes down, that means you have optionality, that you have positive gamma, that you get shorter as we go down. That's good. So are you sure that they're buying as it goes down, or are they selling out because they're getting longer?
I mean, they should be going opposite the move, right?
So yeah, if we're going down, then they'd be getting longer and longer and longer because their short puts, would be exploding. If that's the positioning of the dealers, I don't know what their positioning is really.
So what I posted in Discord, that Bitcoin GX Plus map, is an estimation of dealer positioning at current implied volatility. So you can see that it's it's extremely positive both ways, and meaning that
they're getting long. So you're saying that
they are the bid right now, basically, and you've got strikes that could go in the money too, right? For these calls, and wouldn't they have to continue hedging that, for the upside, or maybe they already have. I don't know. This is something I'm watching. RT, I'm gonna post the chart really quick.
Please do. You guys lost me there. You're talking about dealers and shit. I'm looking for my weed guy. I'm like, wait, who?
Be something that's really interesting here.
God, there's so much to talk about when the market moves. I love it. I came back on like, yeah, we'll do a quick 5-minute wrap, and now I have another thing we need to talk about. So we're not done. Look at that. Okay, so what is this? What are we looking at here?
Just a what if.
Oh, okay. So like your take on sort of like the pullback. Yeah, and you are looking for that deeper dip.
What if
There's so many.
What if it's a grind down?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, what if we're just not done with the range? If there's a grind down here, you better believe the altcoins that like shit versus BTC right here are about to have like a nice couple of weeks.
I look at this and say, look at how much filling in that VPVR needs right up there, all the way to about 52,000 or whatever the hell that is.
Oh, it does. It's going to end up being a capital V-shaped volume profile. We are going to fill in that gap in the upper range. That's probably going to become the dominant VPVR node. The point of control is going to move up. I mean, this screams continuation here. It just does.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it does. And so that's that's always the fun conjecture, right? Is it going to let anybody into that trade and pull back? Or is it just like cats out of the bag? It's time to blast these fucking highs sometime in the next 48 hours.
It's hard to even see continuation. Here, when you think continuation, you think to the downside. But when you pull back, you see, oh no, it's just a massive fucking, like, even lower.
50% downside is all we get. Like, that's acceptable bullish continuation,
And a pullback to range EQ is not going to feel good. I mean, that's 10% of everything people just made. Like, it's not going to be fun. And that's, look, the moving averages just crossed bullish. We haven't touched them yet. Like, there's all kinds of little targets I can think of around 35, 36. And it's not to say that'll be an easy trade. I think a lot of people here that want to buy that, they'll see a story come up that day, or they'll see a narrative, or they'll see the panic, they'll feel the fear, and they may not buy it. So I think we could get it. But look, it all goes back to, why I was beating the drums messy. I wanted to be long from here, so I didn't have to make that stupid decision here. Like, do I buy at 40? Do I buy? Like, this is a really tough place to be if you don't have Bitcoin. It's a very undesirable place. As uncomfortable as it was trying to be long down here, this is exactly why, and it's a good problem to have. But the last thing that I wanted to say is this Dixie chart. I have been watching this thing grind up into this resistance. Here I was like, ooh, we filled the gap. We're going to go lower. And then it bounced. And then it went down and it bounced. It's come into resistance and failed. Falling wedge or rising wedge breakdown. Bearish divergence all over the momos. And that's happening on a fairly high time frame. The daily, like that's like a swing short kind of feel. And it's happening as Bitcoin is doing all the stuff we've just been talking about, on a sort of a swing long setup. So I feel really good about the midterm here. It's not feeling like it's not like, ooh, if this one indicator is pointing this way, like a lot of things are lining up. It's and I hate, like I said during this breakdown, I said, ooh, once we get up here, everyone's going to get all bullish. And then there's going to be like, oh, and that's where I'm looking for shorts. I am not looking for shorts up there anymore in any kind of size, because we've had 3 months of reaccumulation now. It's not like
when you're there, it probably would be a good trade, and then it'll freak everyone out and sell off one day. I mean,
there might be there could be some scalps, but midterm, right? Like I'm talking about like this, this drop here, and then you get that complacency shoulder. That's your short reload zone. Like that happened really quickly, right? There was no existential sort of shift in holdings, but then you get this, and it's like, this suddenly coming back up now, it's fully recharged. I'm not as comfortable saying, so we'll see when we get there. Lots to look at. We're going to be back next week, guys, Wednesday at probably 4 p.m., the regular time. We're going to see if we can get Dan back on the horn. Love to hear from him. He's the busiest guy of the group, as you can imagine.
We might have to change it next week. We're supposed to have an in-person meeting, so we might have to change it from Wednesday. Okay. But let me see what we can do.
All the more reason, guys, to hit the sub button. Throw us a like for fun today if you don't mind. That's always a nice feeling. But hit the sub and then the bell, because the bell will let you know when we're going live. It'll let you know when I schedule the next stream based on what Rob tells me. So we're going to have it. And I am gearing up to do 2 Hero Labs live episodes a week from now on, just because I like them and I want to be live a little more often. And if we are heating up, there's just more to talk about. So you can expect to see those maybe Tuesday, Thursday, maybe Monday, Friday. I really don't know. It'll be a bit like Shitcoin Church, kind of whenever I can find the time. So until next time, guys, as always, whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care. I love that we saved that. Honestly, we were feeling it today, and I was getting kind of stressed that my internet just like hiccuped, and I was like, no, it was just a dream that it just fired up. And then we just see like Rob appear out of the shadows after I couldn't get you in Discord. I was like, I think Rob's gone, and he's just like, nah, not only am I back, bitches, but I'm here for another 45 minutes. All right, guys, I'm off to friggin' Whistler tomorrow. I'm going to take the lady up there. I got that poker tournament thing at 8 a.m. I have a flight at 3. So talk about crunch time. I hope that thing does not run past like 1, but we'll find out. and if I happen to be blessed with final table, I'll probably be standing in the airport security line. But yeah, I'm gonna be out in Whistler for a few days with the lady. Might pop the question. Yeah. So I'm gearing up for a big weekend. I picked up a little rock the other day, so yeah, I might have some. I didn't want to spoil the news, but just don't tell anyone. I'm gonna put it in the Discord if it happens next week. But no, but I know him. He's super chill. He's a great dude. He's a is really. You should meet him, man. I've like smoked joints with him. He's the most laid back traveler, kind of like. It sucks because I saw him last weekend. I should have pulled him aside. We had a couple chats. Okay. I don't know how to reach him, but I'll see. Maybe I can pull it out. We talked about it, and I kind of joked that I was like, well, what am I asking? Like, you're right, though. It's a respect thing, because I was like, why am I asking? Because I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to listen if you say no. But yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. And I like him a lot. Yeah. Yeah. God, I wish I was literally with him like 2 days ago. I could have had that chat. But you know what? I'll figure out a way to call him. Yeah. I appreciate that advice. That's solid. So anyhow, that's my weekend. Gonna be out in the mountains, and I'll be posting the picture in the Discord. I'll be sure to give you guys a shout. Appreciate it, guys. Oh my God, we're still live. My voice is still live. Oh no. Oh, my lady's upstairs watching. I'm gonna laugh too hard. We're done here.